Hello everybody, today I have the pleasure to propose to you this key 78 entitled Matrix, Different Reality or Different Realities. Well, this is the chapter 10 for which we're gonna talk about today about the metaphysics, but the metaphysical reality or realities. Well, what is metaphysics? Concretely, there is physics because there is metaphysics, and on the other way around. This is the principle of our existence. Existing means to separate. This is duality, okay? There is the coldness because there were the warmness, and so on. There is the mountain because there is the valley. There is the light because thanks to the darkness, and vice versa. Okay, so physics, metaphysics. Meta means beyond in Latin. Okay, so the metaphysics is the esoteric part, the invisible part of the iceberg of our reality. Well, first of all, the physical dimension is made of matter, but we saw that matter doesn't exist as tangible as we think. It's pure energy. This is what Einstein said. There is no matter. What you call matter is basically some energy and vibration which has been reduced to be perceptible to your senses. And he concludes by saying there is no matter. Okay, so beyond of that, everything is made like this, a stone of atoms. Further electrons, further nucleons, and so on and so forth. But actually, it is made of always changing particles, okay? And if we see in the very small scale, it's the notion of quantum mechanics, quantic mechanics. It is based on either a field of potential, okay, like a wave of potential, okay? A wave is made of many drops, okay, but there is no drops. There is not only one drop, okay? It's a potential, okay, like a sphere of potential. And then the particle is one state. To make it different, I always use this, you know, the wheel of the casino, okay? You have 60 potential, okay? It's turning like this, okay? So you have the all contingencies possible, 60 different numbers, okay? So this is the wave, the potential of the waves, okay? 60 different numbers. And then one state. One state is one particle, is one state among the other ones, okay? So once you observe a reality at this scale, you influence it, you shape it. So actually, watching, observing is facing and shaping our reality. This is what we call the participatory physics, okay? Concretely, there is a block, the observer, the object, and the observation. This is an illusion, the fact that they are, let's say, separated. As we saw with Einstein, he said that this is an illusion, that the distance between objects. Well, the information contained in each particle of the universe is present holographically in all others. They are connected thanks to the field and the black holes. Concretely, it means that you contain the universe, universe, Y-O-U, universe. You contain the universe, everybody contains the universe. This is the principle of in genetics, okay? Each gene, okay, contain the entire genetic pattern that you have, okay? Only take a piece of it and you have all the information of your genetics, okay? This is what the Hermetists, they explain through as above, so below, as below, so above. Or when Rumi, the great Sufi, said, you are not a drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean within a drop, okay? You contain the universe. And this is also in the Hinduism, what we call the Indra's necklace, okay? Concretely, to make it short, as a metaphor, it's like a spider net for which at the morning you have some humidity, some different droplets, smaller drops, and each of them, they reflect the entire pattern of the net, okay? So this is the same principle. Well, that's why Schrödinger, one of the fathers of the quantum mechanics, said the following: the multiplicity we perceive is only an appearance. In truth, there is only one mind. There is only one single consciousness with a capital letter. There is a consciousness in each individual cell and membrane of your cells. That's just amazing. Are you thinking about that? This is your own consciousness? No, they are independent consciousness. David Bohm, who was one of the great mentors of Einstein himself, said the following: nature has meaning and therefore consciousness, even at the level of an electron. The consciousness is everywhere and in all things. For him, even an electron has a consciousness. Okay, so we leave information in the structure of space. So it shouldn't be space-time, but it should be, let's say, called space memory and or space-time memory consciousness. Einstein say objects are not in space, but an extension of space. Okay. Once again, consciousness is not in the brain, but in the field. Okay. And we tap into this field to pick up, okay? And the brain is just like an antenna, capable to emit or to receive, capacity of emission and reception, okay? So our reality seems to be a projection of our deep beliefs, okay? People, collective beliefs, and so on, okay? So that's why it's important to keep a good mindset. The South forms feed the egregores, and by return they feed us. Okay, so that's the time of choice. Okay, as a metaphor, once again, principle of egregore and is the following: I think in a certain way. Okay, so I emit kind of emotions, and my emotion would be associated with droplets. Okay, there is condensation, and the droplets are going in the sky. Other people adhering to the same opinion, paradigm, vision, philosophy, and so on, and they are combining. Okay, all these droplets in the world are let's say attract mutually. Okay, what you are seeking is seeking you as well. Okay, so in this principle, the all droplets, after a certain moment, they create a kind of cloud, and the cloud with a certain density will from information, informal with no form, will take a certain form and will take form into the matter in the density with, for example, a condensation and making rain down to earth. Okay, so this is a metaphor. So it means that the more people believe in a very luminous new paradigm, and the more we are co-creating this, and the more certain people are very skeptical, negative, gloomy, and so on, the more they are creating this reality as well. But in the notion of multiverse, okay, the multiverse means there is like, okay, we have one universe. I talk about that in the previous series of video. If you want to watch it, is the multidimensionality, the previous series 77. Concretely, it's like a sphere. This reality would be a sphere, okay, like worldwide. And then we have different superposition of other realities, other universe. Okay, so concretely, there is one universe is going to darkness, and another universe for which is going to a luminous dimension. Another one is statu quo, is the same continuation, and then you have like a rainbow. Okay, with different options, with different parallels. So concretely, the multiverse, we would exist in a multitude of little us. You coexist in all of them. The only difference is according to your state of mind, your mindset, you co-create one of them. Your consciousness is somewhere. I coexist in everywhere, okay, as little me. But if I choose and my mindset is positive and I want this new paradigm, I will be there. But I will be also in the darkness as well. But I don't care because my consciousness is there. So I could say to people in the darkness, okay, you were right, I was wrong, there was bullshit what I said, and finally you was right, it's collapsing and the world is gonna be destroyed. But then everything is a question of mindset. I repeat myself. That's why Einstein said the following. He said there is no matter, everything is energy, match the frequency of the reality that you want, you cannot stop getting it. It's not philosophy, this is science. Basically vibrate at a certain level and you will get it, you will get this reality. Okay, so I insist, this is the principle that many reality coexist. It's a little bit à la carte, depending on your state of mind. So, beyond of that, there is the notion of reality, the transgenealogy and transincarnation. So, there is a coexistence and simultaneity of time and times, okay, of the events, of the timelines. Okay, timelines is what I just explained before. Okay, luminous path and darkness. Okay, this is the multiverse. This is timeline. Okay, according to, and they are independent. Okay, we cannot see them each other, otherwise there would be a confusion. And there is an overlap. Another way of reality states. Okay, so it's like musical chair for the transincarnation. Concretely, I'm going to give you some example regarding the transincarnation. But it's like musical chair for you to take different seats, for you to have different point of view, for you to understand if you are the executor in this life or the victim, you understand what you did in the previous life as an executor. The problem is that you don't have the memory anymore, but you have the memory of the history. Okay, so time, a void that prevents that everything arrive and happen at the same time, and space avoid and prevents that everything is concentrated at the same point of singularity. But at the beginning, space and time was concentrated at the same point. That's the beginning of the Big Bang. But there were different Big Bangs in other reality as well, and still some Big Bangs probably right now. So you know, it's the timeline. It's like, you know, when you do handmade cartoon. Okay, you take a post-it block like this, and you draw little philo for each pages, and then there is an illusion of time arrow. Okay, is the reason why Einstein said the past, present, and future is an illusion, despite it's quite. I don't remember the word he used, but quite strong to believe in it. So for him, it doesn't exist. So there is only a multiple, numerous. Multiple here and now and here. That's it. Okay. So when you turn off the radio, the program still exists independently of you. Okay. Let's do a link with the consciousness. Victor Hugo, the French writer and also esoteric guy, he said consciousness is God present within mankind. This is super beautiful. And so concretely, there is a difference between the consciousness with a capital letter, and your small consciousness with a C, small c. Okay, so individual consciousness and the collective consciousness. Okay, so individual consciousness with a small c would be your focus point. Okay, focus point, when you focus on one point only, one topic, one subject, even when you take a picture and you just want to zoom, okay, is a focus point, okay? And the consciousness would be the sum of the all focus points. That's to say the sphere of the, let's say, of reality. Okay, so, but it's impossible to, if you take, for example, the landscape here, you have a vision, you don't have a panoramic vision first, and you don't have 360 degrees, okay? You only see 120 degrees, okay, but you cannot see at the same time up and down, okay? It's impossible, and backwards is even impossible. And same, you don't see the scale, you don't see the ants, you don't see that it's probably living, booming, and so on, changing with the electrons. You don't see the large scale, and so on and so forth. Let's try to take some metaphor I used in the past, but they are very, very important to understand this notion of consciousness. The consciousness, the individual consciousness, is let's say like a filter. Why? Because if you have everything arriving at the same time, it would be undigested. Okay, let's try to take an example. You want to drink a glass of water, okay? You're thirsty, okay? The glass of water is just an event, okay? Because you have an event by one event, okay? We are not multitask most of the time. You cannot have two discussions at the same time or doing two things or three things at the same time. You need to have a focus point, okay? On a scene, on an event, and so on. So, drinking a glass of water, okay, fine. But if, to fulfill it, we break a dam, okay? So, you are overwhelmed by information. Okay, it's a metaphor. A deluge of information through the water. It's a sum of glasses, okay, of drops, but you are literally, you die. Okay, you are completely overwhelmed. Okay, it's the same principle if you had access to the entire consciousness at the same time. We need as a consciousness to filter. Okay, to avoid that everything, like space-time, arrive at the same time on the same point. Okay, let's try to take another metaphor, is the following one. When you watch a movie, you can accelerate. For example, it's 2 hours movie. Can accelerate the speed by 2. Okay, it's completely feasible and watchable. You can understand. Okay, so instead of 2 hours, it would be 1 hour. Okay, if you multiply by 4, still possible, but this is tough to understand, to be honest. It would be half an hour. And if you multiply like this 8, it's impossible to understand, but it's 15 minutes. And then if you multiply till 6,000, you obtain in 1 second, poof, a movie. The problem is it's not unfold over the time, and over the space, so you don't understand anything because there's too many information. You need to filter, to spread over the time, and to unfold. Like if you have a carpet, okay, roll up, and you need to unfold, okay, to understand things and reality and the picture and the pattern, the canvas of the reality. Well, if you also watch 2 movies at the same time, it's still possible, but you will miss some information. 3 is harder, 4 is impossible, 10. And imagine if you watch at the same time, you have 8 billions of screen. We are 8 billions of people, inhabitants on this planet. Okay, so imagine you watch 8 billions. It's impossible. Okay, and if you accelerate them by 6,000, it would be poof. At the same time, the equivalent of 8 billions of flash like this, you would not understand anything. That's why the consciousness is all this. But it needs, like assistant, as we are, the small consciousness to filter and to analyze presently each situation. Okay? That's our job. Okay? We are part of everything. Existing means to separate. We are coming from the consciousness by embodying here, by being incarnated. We are doing this job. The fact to separate at first, at the birth, to find back this unity, Y-O-U-N-I-T, unity, to find back this notion of the consciousness within us, but as a feeling, not as a conscientization. Well, let's take another metaphor, is for explaining the notion of trans-incarnation. Your different incarnation still continue to live. Okay, and also the past continue to live. Okay, as Einstein say, the past, the present, the future is an illusion. Okay, so let's take a building of 21 floors. 21st floor is our current time, 21st century. Okay, then 80th floor would be American independence, French Revolution, and so on. 60th century would be, and 50th century, the discovery, Columbus, Vasco da Gama, and so on and so forth. And then Middle Age would be 1000, I mean 10th century, and so on. Ground would be Jesus Christ, Pilatus, and then underground, minus 60th floor would be Plato, Buddha, Plato, and so on and so forth. Okay, so just to understand, but all of them, they are still existing in their own space-time. But it's invisible because there is let's say the floor, and we cannot see the past fully. Otherwise, it would be like watching the different movie at the same time. It would be impossible to understand. That's why even at the same floor, you cannot see what's happening in the neighbor part. Okay, your consciousness, your life is within. Okay, that's normal. It's not a prison. It's just to make it more digest. Okay. In parallel of that, you could see that. So you're still existing. Your soul, embodying different incarnation, is still living at these periods of time. That's why when you do things positively now, you can clean back your past presently, and your past can infect also the future. Well, in parallel of that is like a compound. When you have a building, usually in a certain compound, especially in China, they are doing like 20 or 30 same buildings. So, okay, so you can see, you watch your building, and then beyond, okay, beyond, you cannot see, but there is the same building, another building, and another building, and like 10 different buildings for which you have you, life. The first is a metaphor. Then the second one would be you, but a little bit different. You are not married or you don't have kids. Then the third one, you don't watch this video. Then the fourth one, I never made these videos. Then I change just my clothes. Then it's I don't know, gray sky, but it doesn't change. It's not a big deal, and so on and so forth. Another metaphor is the one I always use with movies. Okay, Leonardo DiCaprio is an actor. The actor would be the man and would be equivalent to a soul. He's embodying different roles in different movies. This movie would be an incarnation. Okay, DiCaprio encompass the whole, let's say, roles he did in the past. Inception, Titanic, Wolf of Wall Street, and so on and so forth. So for Titanic, for example, we could consider that you have Titanic option 1, the scenario, you know, okay, the love story. The second one is Leonardo DiCaprio missed the boat, okay, no love story, no movie. Third, it doesn't mean on the boat the girl. Okay, so same, another scenario. The love story, but there is no sinking. Okay, so the boat doesn't sink, so but there is no story. I mean, there is a love story, but it's not. There is no movie, and so on and so forth. Okay, so. Then, in parallel of that, we can consider if you are in a plane and your neighbor is watching with on screen Titanic. Okay, is just starting, but the guy there is at the middle of the movie, and another guy there is watching Titanic as well, but is finishing. So they are in different time. Okay, you can see another one is watching DiCaprio for Wolf of Wall Street, another one Inception, and so on. So you can consider DiCaprio is working quite hard today. Same is probably watched through his movies and reactivated in other planes or in different houses and so on. Presently, I'm sure that someone is watching a movie of DiCaprio. Okay, so what I try to explain is reality is always reactivated. This is a metaphor I had a flash when I was 12 years old. It would be like, it's a metaphor, of course. You do, you know, graffiti. Okay, like tags, okay, painting on the wall, okay, of a subway, but it's fixed on the subway, but it's blurred. It's just entangled picture, interconnected pictures, but it doesn't represent anything. Just the fact with the movement of the subway, from the subway perspective, when you watch the focus point, actually the images would take life, okay, would be in action, okay. So line 1 of the subway, the cat eats the mouse, okay. 10 minutes later, another subway pass, and the scene is reactivated, and 10 minutes later, and endlessly like this. Line 2, the cat doesn't eat the mouse, and she's dancing. Third line, this is he has already eaten, so, or he sleep, and so on. So you have different scenarios like this. Everything is possible. Okay, even I don't know. He took a lot of Monsanto products, so he's like crazy. He's like a vampire, and the mouse is eating the cat. Okay, different scenario. All the scenario exist. So, and they are reactivated always. So what is the question of the observer and the choice? You vibrate. You took your ticket and you choose your line. You steer. You angle the reality that you want. Okay, so to make it short, it would be like entanglement of the reality, like sphere of different, let's say, universe, like the flower of life, but entangled. And also we contain the world, and the world contains us as holographic fractal dimension. What does it mean? As above, so below. As below, so above. Rumi said, you are not a drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean within a drop. Well, concretely, you know, Einstein talked about a field, a kind of field, because actually our memory, our brain is not in our I mean, head. It is the consciousness is not in our brain, it is accessible to the field of consciousness and the field of, let's say, the divine matrix that we're gonna talk in a few minutes. Okay, so Einstein always say that he download, literally, creativity is that you downloads from Eureka, I find it, Archimedes, Newton with the apple, and so on. The first guy who went to Cambridge or Oxford, an Indian guy, he established like 3,000 theorems, and most of them he could not explain them, but he was received them and they were correct afterwards. And a lot of people have the inspiration like this. They are just with antenna catching, okay, getting some information, downloading it. Okay, so it's also the notion of the double that we have, a kind of higher self that you have, capable to be out of space-time and giving you some information like a GPS. Okay, so let's talk about the matrix now officially. There is different schools, but the first one is the matrix would be an archontic, okay, with the darkness, establish it like egregores, like Akashic records since the beginning of humanity. Okay, so an energy grid intertwines everything and every acts and action and behavior of individual. Basically, we are puppets of egregores, thought forms, entities, spirits, and so on. So it would be why we are enslaved and slave, according to this theory. I'm not saying that I adhere to that, but because it's like if you are a programmer of a video game and you just put some potential gesture, okay, so play football and so on, but it's impossible that your player is, because he's not programmed for that, is touching the ball with the hand or going in the stadium and fighting with a supporter, for example, a fan. Okay, so anyway, is a theory. Then matrix for certain is artificial, made by ET, okay, aliens. Okay, so it's kind of mix of the previous definition I gave you, match with Matrix the movie. Okay, then there is the divine matrix, to be frank, for which I'm more adhering. So concretely, to make it simple, the divine matrix is the container of the universe. It's the bridge between the individual and the collective dimension, okay, the inner and the outer world. Okay, and then it's also a mirror reflecting our emotions and beliefs. The characteristics are the following: it's ubiquitous, it means it's non-located, and it is everywhere, and always, it has always existed. No need to create something like a radio program and then to broadcast it. Okay, it is already there, and just a question of accessibility. Okay, so then the field appeared at the same time as the Big Bang. The matrix is the connection intertwining everything like the roots of the trees. Okay, there is a communication with all these trees, despite the fact you have the illusion they are distant. They are distant, apparently, but their roots are connecting all the time with mushroom, with kind of magnetism, and so on. Then we are the seed of the miracle, and as well as the miracle itself. Okay, we are the painter and the painting. This is what John Wheeler expressed about and named participatory universe. Reality exists thanks to consciousness and observation, and observer thereby. Okay, so the visible reality seems to be dull compared to the real reality, that's to say the hidden reality behind of this. It's like if you are focusing on a video game, you just see images, but you don't see all the let's say the mathematic formula, IT dimension, like binary system, coding and so on with formula. It's something for you ignore, you cannot see. The language of emotion is a notion of code. Okay, this is the space avoid that everything arrive at the same time, and time avoid that everything time avoid that everything arrive at the same time, happen at the same time, and space avoid that everything is compressed on the same point. So, but the photons, so that's to say the particle of light, organize themselves if there is DNA presence, okay? And actually the DNA impact the reality as well. Okay, so Einstein said that the particle must have a different reality from our measurements, because measuring is always shaping and influencing. Well, here are the 20 keys to understand this divine matrix. First of all, the divine matrix is the container and the bridge between everything in the universe, the mirror that we are shown to create. Second, everything in the world is connected to everything else, interconnection. Third, to tap into the strength of the universe, we must feel ourselves from the universe and this source rather than separate. Fourth, things that have been united always remain connected to each other without locality and physical link. This is what we call quantum entanglement. Okay, and the aspect the French scientist received in last year, 2022, the physics Nobel Prize for that, for quantum entanglement. 5, focusing on our attention is an act of creation because consciousness creates. 6, we have all the powers necessary to create all the desired effects. 7, the object of our consciousness, of our conscious focus, becomes the reality of our world, be the change that you want to see in the world, match the frequency of the reality that you want, you cannot stop getting it, Einstein, Buddha, what you think you create, what you, and so on, okay? This is always the same thing, yeah? Or make the 2 one verse, in the Bible, verse 106 is the same, okay? If you make the 2 one is the consciousness, the thinking, and then the feeling. The feel that is already there. The language of feeling that speaks and is listened by the divine matrix synthesis that your goal has been reached and your goal has already been fulfilled. Vibrate that it is already there, is already there. This is a principle of visualization and co-creation, law of attraction. If you want more details, more techniques for that, more tools, watch the video 36. Then 10 can only create one who is void of ego and judgment. 11, becoming in our life what we choose to experience as our world. 12, we are not bound by the laws of physics as we know them. 13, each holographic fragment, even small, reflects its form and content. 14, the universally interconnected hologram of consciousness assures us that our desires and prayers are already delivered as soon as we created them and intensively vibrating them. Through the hologram of consciousness, 15, through hologram of consciousness, any individual change in our life is reflected in our whole life and the entire world. 16, the minimum critical threshold to defend the collective change. It is the ratio is what we call a Maharishi effect. It's square root of 1%. Okay, square root of 1%. The Maharishi effect has been tried in international peaceful project in Middle East. It was in 80s when people from Lebanon and from the other border in Israel, they start during few days to meditate for peace. And suddenly, like miraculously, not without any reason, but war stopped. Okay, in 93, you have an article in August 93 on the New York Times. In New York City, there was a meditation, transcendental meditation for peace and for peace. And actually, the crime rate decreased by 25%. It has been recorded by the office police, so it's official, and you can check on in internet. But this ratio, that's why we propose every month, almost for 5 years now. We started in December 2018. I will put the references. There is a meditation, a guide meditation, is 9 minutes. For each full moon, for which nowadays we are 4,000, and we would need to be something like 8,000. Okay, but already 4,000 is a lot. And at the same time, everybody from Australia, from New Zealand, from China, from India, for Africa, from America, and so on, are making the same meditation. So there is a version in English and a version in French. Okay, so and why is so important? Because actually this ratio, the name of this meditation is well-rounded meditation. You can find on the Facebook. There is a group Facebook only for that. I send some reminders every month to the morning or the day before to say what time and so on. And it's only 9 minutes. You don't need. It is not a live. It's something that you can just have an access in your office or whatever, even in a plane, because there is no Wi-Fi. I mean, you can download it before. And actually, this formula, square roots of 1 person is nothing. If we are 1 billion, calculate 1 billion, 1 person is 80. 1 billion is 80 millions. Okay, square roots of 80 millions is nothing. Is something less than 10,000 people. Okay, so imagine the effect. So then 17, the divinematrix reflects our world, the relationship we created in our beliefs. 18, the source of our negative experiences can come from the third universal fear, the fear of giving up on the end, the lack of trust. 19, our true beliefs relate to dancing our most intimate relationships. And last, becoming in our life what we will try to experience in our world, be the change that you want to see in the world, as Gandhi say differently. So as a kind of opening or conclusion, everything I like to say, this is a part of the book. I invite you to read it, to download for free. It's Synthesis of Saint Theses, is the following. You can think about it. Everything is superposed, imposed, and above all, superly posed but never imposed. I invite to think about that. But I like to say differently. I mean, this is the notion of empiling reality, multiverse, and multidimensionality. But all exist already, and all ready to exist. So everything is in the potential. The timeline exists. It is a question of choice. According to your mindset, you shift towards this. Okay, so basically everything exists in potential, and is just waiting to be activating. How? By feeling, by vibrating the reality that we want, by freeing ourselves from false belief, limiting thoughts, by getting out of the conscious and unconscious meta programs of our personality, our lineage, transgenealogy, the karma, or reincarnation, the race as a human race with the morphic fields that we will talk in, and that we talk in the previous video, with the Akashic records as world heritage. As I said very often, everything is energy. That's it. Match the frequency of the reality that you want. You cannot stop getting it. This is not science. This is not philosophy. This is science. It's from Einstein. So, in mysticism, it is said, don't forget to forget. It means that forget about your construction of mind. Your all this illusion of the matrix, which is a construction of our mind through our education and so on. Be aware of that, to be detached of that. So don't forget to forget. And then another in parallel, remember that everything is about remembering. Remember in the sense of reactivate your members, because we know everything since the beginning. We are doing this party all the time, all the time. All time exists all the time. and you are everything at the whole time. You are the consciousness. You're not separated of it. You are just separated to be, for it to be digested. Okay? Otherwise, it will be, as we saw, a bit too much. But it's the principle of déjà vu. Déjà vu for certain scientists is just your brain is slow, so you have twice the information. So you have within 1 second you have the feeling that you already lived it. But apparently, according to certain esoteric currents, we have been living everything and we live everything at the same time. We are everything. We are unity. That's why I like to say, we never meet people, we find back a part of ourselves that we have lost or that we are missing. So this is the missing link probably, and this is the notion of unity. We have to find back the unity. We came back, we are coming from the unity. We have been obliged to fragment, to separate. Separate means existing, or existing means separate. We came for that, to separate, to just filter a part of the consciousness and to put back the different pieces of the masterpiece, to admire and to be peaceful and to admire the masterpiece by mastering the different pieces. Well, I invite you to think about that, to meditate of that, to digest of that, and also I hope it will help you to shape the master key of the field of consciousness, of love, of morphic field, whatever you want. As you know, all the roads lead to Rome and to the Dome and to home. Thank you for your attention and see you very soon.